What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. As always, this episode is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements, Crystals Bikinis, and Bio Longevity Labs. I'd also like to take this time to announce a new sponsor of the show, RapidRxUSA.com. They are a medical supplies website that had reached out and linked up with me, I guess largely because of the CGM data that I've talked about and shared. And so they offer a whole host of medical supplies, including your traditional monitors and CGMs. For anybody that's listening or interested, if you use my code at rapidrxusa.com, a 2-pack of Lingo continuous glucose monitors is $68 when compared to the Amazon 2-pack cost of $108. So we're talking about a $40 difference, um, which is cool because, like, by day two that I had announced it on Instagram, I got a message from somebody and they were like, "Hey, I just tried to buy this and they're sold out," which is very cool. So, anybody that supported that, check it out. You can still buy single packs. There's a whole host of other medical supplies you can buy. The code is JP10. I also wanted to give a very special shout out to Lift Fucking Heavy and Joe Santoro. Is the last name? Yeah. Joe's the owner, and we got to meet each other while I was at the Pivot Gym. And man, this kid is an animal. This kid's got an awesome physique. He is strong as an ox. And the besides all of that, the biggest takeaway that I got from meeting Joe in person was how impressive of a young man he is. Not to sound like an old geezer, but it's not often that I meet men that are younger than me at this point that I come away feeling impressed by them. And that was definitely the case with him. So check them out. This is the hat that I'm wearing from them. Live Fucking Heavy. They're a full-on um gym wear brand. They got shirts, sweats, hoodies, hats, the whole nine yards. And I think this is a really cool opportunity, if you're not familiar yet with Joe's brand, to get in kind of on the ground level, because I see big things in his future. So, with all that said, I am joined by my friends Austin Brown, Josh Jefferson of Pivot Gym. Josh, how are we doing, brother?
Doing very good. I just want to add for the LFH thing. He's having a drop January 9th. So it'll be all the new stuff that he's been posting on Instagram, and that
You
should
have a
happen
code?
in Pivot. The code Moses.
Code Moses. Okay, awesome.
So
Um, Ribbon cutting ceremony last night at Pivot Gym.
yes, my social battery is still drained. It was a lot of there was a lot of politicians here. There's a lot of people here in general.
That's
But it
good.
was a really cool turnout.
Yeah,
We had some like vendors. We have VMI come. Shout out VMI.
I
They're
saw
always
that.
doing
Yeah,
stuff in the community. Um, Obviously LFH was here.
yep.
Um, Bites by Demi. That was really cool. She has these like protein granola bites. They were very, very good. And then a pizza place right around the block came, brought some pizza, and Mama J made some fried chicken and mac and cheese.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, she also made it at like 3 a.m. last night. That's the picture I sent you guys this morning. I guess she walked in the house and was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna make more." So that's what I woke up to smelling this morning. But yeah, it was a really awesome experience. I'm very happy to say that this place is open and starting to crank a little bit. So it should be very good. Should be exciting over
Awesome.
the next couple of
I'm
weeks.
excited
So
for you, man. If you guys are in the Northeast area, please check out Pivot Gym. I can promise you, if even if it's not in your immediate surrounding area, it is worth a day trip. Take a Saturday or a Sunday, go train back or legs, and really take in the level of hand selected equipment that Josh has there. It is second to none. It's really, really super impressive for somebody that loves to train. Even beyond that, if you're a little bit of like an equipment nerd or you just really enjoy good equipment, Pivot Gym is the spot to be. I am super impressed and very, very hopeful for you I think it's going to be, I think this is a big turning point for you. So, with all that said, Austin Brown, how are you, my friend?
I'm
Living
good.
large.
Yep. That's just focusing on growing. That's it right now. That's the only
Hell
mission.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What are we weighing?
270.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Hell yeah.
270 to two.
Any changes within the last week? Any cycle changes, food changes, anything?
No, but I know a handful of guys were hitting me up about my lab work because I mentioned that. Uh,
Yes.
and we got that back and I sent it to you. So you saw
Yeah.
it. It,
Yeah.
so that was after the last pod. But yeah, cycle. So I did have a small like cycle adjustment, like hit the benchmark on the mint that I was going to run. I told myself, last time I waited, it was a great experience until it wasn't, so I didn't want to run into that again. So when that happened, test came up a little bit to replace it, and that was it. Got the labs back. And everything was in a pretty much bang on spot. So I thought E2 was going to be kind of crashed because of the running AI along with a 2-to-1 test to EQ ratio and also having DECA in the picture. But it was like 30. So, and I wouldn't mind it riding a little higher. But now that I made the adjustment of bringing the test up, it should be pretty bang on. It's tough with Mint in the equation, right? Because it's a little more unpredictable as far as like, it's said to aromatize heavily, but like I haven't really necessarily noticed that.
Yeah.
So it's
And
tricky
that
because
doesn't really reflect that either.
right. It's so it's kind of a tricky one because there's a lot of unknowns about it. But
Yeah.
so all that's good. Up food, like when I hit 270 the last time, I up food 100 carbs a day and I've stayed at 270. So now
Ah,
I know my body's at that point where I'm gonna have to like eat to
it's
move
going
it.
to happen fast now. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to just really push it to move the needle because I always hit a point where it's like it really doesn't matter like what's going in. I'm waking, it's hard for me to move it. So I think I'm there because I
How
just
is your appetite?
it's great. It's really good.
Awesome.
Still super hungry, so I have a lot of higher like a high ceiling there with where I can go. So yeah,
Do you
I'm
know what the numbers are? People are always curious. Like calories, carbs.
training day calories are at 5,000 right now. Uh,
Okay.
carb amount I got it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so new adjustment. We got training day calories at 5,000. Carbs are at 711. And
Excellent. Okay.
so 70 fat, 380 protein. And
Okay. Yeah, we're getting it. Hell yeah.
non-training days a little lower. I do like 4,200 calories on that day just because
That's
that's
not
about,
crazy.
I burn about like anywhere from like 700 to 1,000 calories, whatever session it may be.
I have found nearly exactly the same type of feedback. Um, Now what you're doing 5 meals?
I do 5, and then I do like
Do you do four on rest days then? Does one come out?
no,
Oh, okay, they all just shrink a little.
yeah, they're all just smaller because like pre
Yeah.
and post are big or and
Yeah.
they're different meals. And then
No intra.
yeah, no interest. So yeah, so 5 meals, but I think I was thinking about doing a 6, but I think I'll just keep it at 5 and just add food to it because I'm still really hungry. Meals are easy right now.
That I think it's probably from everything that I have observed wearing the continuous glucose monitor. I think that is until the five become unsustainable or just impossible. I think that is, I haven't seen your personal data, but from what I've seen with myself, that would probably be the move where it's just adding more and still keeping that good amount of time in between each meal.
Yeah,
Because I've noticed I did all of last off season with 7 meals. So a lot of times I was eating like every 90 minutes
yeah,
and I
that's
wasn't tracking anything, whatever. Um, and then this year I condensed it down to 6. So my final meal is quite a bit. larger in terms of like protein, and then that's when I have fats. Um, but because of that, I'm more spaced out, and even by the time I'm 90 minutes after meal 5, so getting ready to eat meal 6, I'm in the 70s. So it just goes to show you that time in between, I think, is really setting us up to have a body that's ready to accept the food, not just as a matter of eating it, but actually utilizing it. So, okay,
Yeah.
let's do questions and see what we got here. Thoughts on managing blood glucose with a high step count instead of using exogenous insulin in the off season? Josh, hit me. What are your
It's an
thoughts?
it's an option. It's
Yeah,
not the best option.
yeah,
Like it, you can turn around and limit the amount of, or you can help yourself not make your pancreas work so hard by just simply saying like, I'm going to take some exogenous insulin along with this, whether it be a Lantus or a Humalog, as opposed to increasing your step count. And also being in an off season, you want to keep that expenditure lower. So, in my opinion, that would just be you're kind of beating a dead horse to be able to eat more food. So you're doing more to be able to eat more food. Why not just turn around and take something that can help you in its own way? Even something like if you're so against the insulin, why not go with something like Retta? Just allow your insulin sensitivity to be there so you don't have to turn around and do 15 to 20,000 steps just to keep your blood glucose down.
Yeah, I think that's the best point is like uh look at the calories that you might output doing that and like just reduce that number of calories by carbohydrates, you might yield the similar result. So
right.
uh it's probably if we're considering like Atlantis or something, we're probably at a point where that effort of like trying to do steps is not really going to hold up to the demand of like needing that additional help with the pancreas. Like if we're at that point, it's I don't think steps are really going to get you there. And then driving up additional fatigue and things like that are like things we don't want to do in the off season. So I like your point, Josh, of like there's other options. We don't have to just like use insulin. The GLP drugs, anecdotally and obviously data wise too, it's just they do work for blood glucose, so it's a great option. Specifically, I find that like microdosing them does a really good job of that, so that's an option. There's natural supplements as well, but I think I don't really think it's a great even I don't even know if it's a great question to ask because I just think those options don't really it's you could use a combined approach, but
Well, it should be like a combined approach, right? Like I think it works up until a certain point.
it has a ceiling is what I was trying to say. Like if you get to that, like okay, now we're at the point of it, considering insulin, like we've hit the ceiling of kind of where steps can take us, right? Like
Well, then it's like like just because you start doing 20,000 steps a day, like to now in your mind counteract this enormous amount of food you would need to eat to be in a surplus, like that doesn't mean then that your pancreas now has to work any less harder. Like that food is still going in. And so that insulin response is still going to happen. Um,
right. So that's what I was saying. Just reduce that number of carbs, and it's kind of like yields the same output.
right. Um, like I think the reduction of, and I've seen this with you because our off seasons, for the most part, are pretty different. And so, that was one of the things that I had asked you because you gain muscle, keep the surplus moving on a much lower food amount. So at one point I was like, are you just not moving? And you move quite a bit less than what I do. Um, and to me, from a budget perspective, from a time and general wellness perspective, I would much rather eat less and still make the progress that I want to make than like driving this one variable up that forces me to have to eat more food. I want to get as big as I can on really as little amount of food as possible. I understand it's the food is driving the progress, but man, I never necessarily want to eat more. Like if I could stay on the same food amount and every week gain a pound and a half and have training performance go up and recovery feel like it's in a good spot and hunger still be in a good spot, like I would hope that my coach would just leave the diet the same. There would be no need to add more if all that happened every week. So I don't necessarily love this. And I also think if, the way that he worded the question in my mind is just like an OD amount of steps. Like he's talking about doing a
30.
20 or 20,000 steps a day or something. It's like, man, at a certain point, I would rather you, maybe it's less quantifiable than just a step count, but I would rather see the higher amount of output be put into an anabolic signal like training. Like I would want to see that come
Yeah.
from training more so than you just walking. So whether that's, I mean, that's something I've kind of intuitively done at different points of the off season. Like there are times that Compton will up my food. And then because of that, I'm like, okay, is this priority body part feeling recovered every time that I'm training? If so, maybe I'm going to add a set or two this week and see what the difference is. Um, so I would rather see an approach like that. And then, so you guys mentioned like, okay, why not insulin? You guys mentioned GLP drugs, which are all great. And then the final piece is GLP drugs don't agree with everybody, especially for an off-season context. I have found MOTS-C to be like crazy game changing in the off-season in terms of insulin sensitivity. I think it's great pre-contest or in the off season, but for different reasons. Pre-contest, I got a lot of get up and go from MOTS-C. I got a lot of cognitive awareness from MOTS-C. On the flip side, in the off season, I don't feel anything, but from monitoring my glucose, I'm getting a crazy, crazy response from using like lab tested X amount of MOTS-C on a daily basis. So there are just like tons and tons of tools that and avenues that I would turn towards before I decide to like, Forrest Gump my way around the country. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that.
Inevitably, like
Also,
Go,
oh,
Josh.
sorry. I was going to say also just using something like hit cardio
Hit
to turn around and
cardio,
allow
great.
your body to use the glucose better.
that's a great point. And like take a quarter of the time is doing,
Well,
20,000.
that's like the return is just as high as you'd want it to be for a third of the cost, both in terms of time and what it might do for you. As long as it's time, like don't do hit immediately post legs, but basically any other time during the week, it's going to be awesome. That, and you mentioned there are over the counter supplements. I think berberine or dihydroberberine are awesome.
It's a good place to start. And yeah, you know, on the other point too, with the hit, it's like the steps are inevitably Joe, like you said, that's going to take away from like the recovery budget. So
Yeah.
like whether people say like steps don't fatigue your legs, but like they do,
When
especially
you're
like
doing 30,000 a day, it's going to. If you do your normal 8 to 10K like everyone does, I agree. It's a very low cost
yeah.
way of getting of creating output. But when you're talking about modulating it up as an aggressive variable change, it's gonna chip into your training, your recovery budget. Absolutely. All right, I think that's a pretty elaborate answer for this guy. Um, Okay, so I got a couple that I'm just going to knock out. One young lady wrote in and said, "Females, we listen too. Can you add females to some of the topics?" We just answer what people ask. So if you want us to answer something, you have to ask us. I'm not just winging it or making up topics. Like, so if you want something to be answered, you got to give us something to answer.
Otherwise,
Um,
I would say the answers are applicable to females outside of the
right,
and
right,
speak.
right. Another thing, for some reason, and it's cool that people, I guess, care enough to even be paying attention or interested. I had two different people ask why I'm not wearing my cross chain, and I've been wearing a different chain. So I've been wearing this chain, and I'll give you guys the backstory of it. This chain comes from a company called the Hero Project, and the proceeds of their sales go towards pairing wounded veterans with service dogs, which I think is awesome. I've never served myself, but I am a huge supporter and advocate of our servicemen and women. So that's why I still have my cross. I still wear it loud and proud. But
Like,
I saw this on the internet. I thought it was a cool cause, and I like the chain, so I'm gonna wear it.
I like it. That's funny they noticed.
Right? I was like,
People
damn,
notice
what in the
everything.
world?
I did notice last week and it stuck out to me too. And I was like,
Really? Okay. I guess maybe just because the other one is gold or what? I don't know.
yeah.
Okay, do you guys we could pass this, or I'll just pose it to you, and we could talk about it, or we could skip it. This guy writes in and says the current height, weight, drug stack, and next show slash prep plans for all three of you. Do you want to do this? I'm happy to do this.
I was like, that sounds like a lot of things to answer. I remembered height, weight, and drugs.
And show plans, prep plans.
Fuck
And
it.
this guy's cool. This is not like a weird question. This is a cool guy that watches the show and writes in good questions.
I don't care.
Okay, I'll go first since everyone's going to be shy. I am 5'11". I was 266 this morning. I'm on um I am on 2 grams of test because I got FOMO from Austin running 2 grams of test. So I upped mine. So talking about bloods, I got bloods done as well. And I was on 1,500 mgs of test, 900 mgs of DECA, 600 mgs of EQ, no AI. I got my labs done and my test was, bonkers. But my E2, I think, was 12, which was lower than what I would have subjectively guessed. I felt pretty good. So I would not have guessed going into, I thought it was going to be in the 20s or the 30s. It came back at 12. So because of that, I left everything else alone and I brought the test up from 1,500 to 2,000 with a combination of enanthate and propionate. I do all my shots daily anyway. So just a
The split.
combination of the two. But
How much of each?
I brought it up. I brought it up like another 140, another 20 milligrams a day of propionate.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So in total, I'm on 2 grams of test, 900 DECA, 600 EQ. I've been, knock on wood, very consistently now for basically 3 weeks, doing 13 IUs of GH a day. I do that all before bed. It's been fantastic. It has not made any of my carpal tunnel issues worse, which is fantastic. I'll take it. Um, Today, about 5 hours ago, I started Increlix. I'm going to do, at least initially, I'm doing 50 micrograms pre and post. And then my follistatin lands in a couple days. I'll probably wait, and I have exactly 12 weeks worth of that. So I'll wait until I have 12 weeks left in the off season to run that. But that's everything. And then show plans, it's a little less buttoned up than it is usually, but I am loosely shooting for the fall. But it's more so I want to achieve a certain level of size and not just a body weight, although that's part of it, but I need to achieve a certain level of muscularity before I um, dive all into it. But it's likely that I at least engage the process and shoot for like September or October.
I think that's reasonable. That gives you like kind of like a full growth and a half or something, like a
Yeah.
really, really long growth phase. And then
And I had a killer rebound too, so you can't
Right,
forget that.
you the quality you've put on post show right now as it stands is already immense. So, and you have a
I
good of
appreciate that. I did because I do feel like,
Agreed.
we like we kind of both take a similar approach where we, as the crews, we kind of like recomped, and I was getting down to body weights that I then would compare to how I looked in prep, and it was way different
way better.
already. Yeah, way better already. And that was before the actual off season had begun. So,
And that's
um,
what I'm talking about is like just seeing you lean back out. It was visible, right? Just from the rebound. So that's great, man.
yeah, that's the ins and out. I wear like a 12 or 13 shoe, depending on what brand it is. My social security number. No, just kidding.
That's funny, man. Our stats and stuff are so similar, and like honestly, our designs are so similar
How
too.
big is your dick? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, measuring contest right now. No. All right, break the internet. Okay. I'm, five, I'm like five. I'm like 5'10" and a half. So, I was always
Damn,
West
so
Coast.
you're a little shorter than me, bro. You must look enormous in person.
I'm literally 5'10" and like an eighth actually,
And
but like
270? Holy fuck, dude.
for classic,
Big
I
boy.
was always barely class C. But yeah,
Yo, do you remember when you were before we ever did the podcast and we just like loosely knew each other up from the internet? Do you remember this? You posted something and you had only ever been classic up to this point, and you were like maybe starting prep, and you were like, this is how I look, this is my weight, and this is what I need to be for the cap. And I replied to you and I was like, brother, say goodbye to classic physique. You are a bodybuilder. You are never going to make this weight. You remember that?
yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, man, we've known each other forever, but that's funny. That was when I was in that phase of like, no, there's no way I'd be an open guy. Like,
Yeah.
but the visuals were like, I knew I made crazy progress, but
Yeah.
I just think I could squeeze that
I'm
still.
hoping to be that guy. I'm hoping 10 years from now people look back and many people say, "Man, that guy encouraged me to grow into open bodybuilding."
That's why I love doing that. Like telling guys, just let the brakes off, man. Like
Let the governor off and let's do this shit.
let it rip. Okay, so 5'10" and a half, 270 right now. I'm
Hell
running
yeah.
the running the same compounds as you, so that's funny. But yeah, Tess is at so I do daily, so it's 350 a day, so it's 2450 a week,
Yep.
160 EQ, so it's like 1100 or something,
Okay.
1120, and then 700 deca. So
Nice.
and the test just went up from 2100. It was at 300 a day, and that
Yeah.
just and then GH is at 15, but
Hell yeah.
that just came up from 12. So far, so good.
Okay. Hell yeah.
That's it.
And then
Straightforward.
AI though, yeah.
Yeah, so I am running, I'm
A
looking to do
Rumson?
ancillaries and stuff. I'm doing 8X every 3 days.
Okay.
And I run Caber every 3 days too. And it had my prolactin,
Oh,
which I'm doing
okay.
because I do tend to get my prolactin out of whack on 19 Nors.
19
So
Norse, yeah.
trend destroys me. Deca does it too. So I
Mm.
just run a Caber and feel 10 times better. Um, that's it. I'm doing a slew of other things alongside of this, but that's the
What about BP meds? People die for some reason. That's like people are more concerned with the fucking medications than the drugs.
yeah. I do a milligram of TB 500, BPC 157 a day, both at a milligram. I do 80 milligrams of telmisartan, 500 milligrams of metformin, 20 milligrams of Cialis a day. I do baby aspirin every day, T3,
What
T4
is
at
that?
20.
Like 83 milligrams? The baby
81.
aspirin?
81.
81. You're right. 81.
Yep, Caber 8X. I run a milligram of SLU every day.
Fasted?
Fasted before cardio. I do cardio every day,
Nice.
30 minutes. I walk on the treadmill. It's not cardio. I walk at like two
Nice.
five on like a two
Yeah,
five line, but it gets me
that's
sweat.
okay. Heart rate's 140 because you're enormous.
Literally moving gets my heart rate up. So and then I'm doing 40 IUs of Atlantis a day, 20-20 split.
Oh, you are splitting it. Nice. Hell yeah. Very nice. Wow, I love this.
um, other than that, just doing the ALA for the carpal tunnel, which seems to actually be helping.
Dude, it works, right? Well, how much? 1200?
2400, 1200
Oh,
twice,
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nice.
1200 a.m., 1200
Dude, it
p.m.
works. It does work.
I've noticed, yeah, definitely. Because
Shout out somebody that watches this podcast sent it to me.
yeah, yeah. Who told us that? I forget,
I
but
forget who, but shout out to them because it has helped me too.
yeah, good shit. The only other thing I'm doing, only other thing, um, doing GHRP6. I do 500 micrograms pre and post workout, which is a lot, but I'm just playing around with it and see what happens.
What is that doing for your pre-workout? Are you starving during your training?
No, but I train. So I liked it before meal one, and I moved to training in the morning.
Okay,
So
okay.
just do it right after my fasted cardio, and I could probably eat cardboard after that. Like it's, but then I just mow down my pre meal, and it holds me over, and I start driving to the gym about an hour later, and I do another 40 grams of carbs from like my intra like
Yeah,
way, you know.
yeah. Sweet. All right, and then now for the least
Show
exciting part of it
I was gonna
all.
say mine sucks.
I got to
Well,
do.
Mine sucks.
you're on a cruise.
Yeah.
I'm planning to do the nationals next year is what I'm trying to do.
Oh, that's right. Show plans. Okay. And then do you need to I guess you don't need to qualify, right?
I'll qualify. I'll do something,
Oh,
and
okay.
I think I will do Indiana, man. The promoter there, Jamie Sterling, and her husband took
You
over.
did this 2 years ago? Same timing? Or no?
No, no, no.
Oh, what was that show? Kentucky?
Never did the nationals.
No, I know you never did nationals. What was the
That was a Kentucky show. Yep.
Oh, okay.
But so Indiana, I know the promoter there well, and they took over a few years ago, and they've done an incredible job. They brought the Indy Pro, for
Oh,
class
awesome.
stuff.
Nice.
They have three shows now. Black backdrop, incredible production.
Great lighting. Yeah.
Yep. If you see the pictures from the Classic Pro in the
Crazy, dude.
money,
It was
yeah,
almost like Detroit.
it gives that vibe when you walk into her places. So she's got a new show for the holidays. So I'm gonna go there to support, and they do
Awesome.
free entry for nationals. So the plans the
Oh, sick.
tag it over all there maybe,
Oh, I
but
love that. I wish
whoever,
more shows did that.
whoever's listening to this, let's get that show crazy. So
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, Josh, tell us what the cruise is, brother.
Cruise is 300 tests and 100 deca. 10 units of growth, 5 milligrams of SLU. Um,
Plan.
Selma is 80 milligrams.
Yep.
Uh, Lantis on high days at 40. Um, which is just legs. Cialis, I do like a rotation. I don't love taking 20 every day or 10 every day. I do like 20 on chest or push. I do 10 on back and 10 on legs because 20 does not feel great on legs. Um, Motzi at 1 milligram every morning. Clen at 40 micrograms. And height somewhere between 6.5 foot and 6'1".
So you're Class D?
252 pounds. Yeah.
Okay.
I
dude,
measured in a Class C because I kind of just slouched into it.
So
But I did
what's your weight cap gonna be?
224 is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But last time they measured me at like 6'1.5", so it was like 232.
Okay, great. And what were you today or yesterday?
252.4 this morning.
Nice.
And a rest day, so I'll be like 246 tomorrow.
Yeah.
you guys are gonna
And
be
then
with that weight cap though.
He'll
You'll be
he's gonna be ready early. I'm not making it so that it's like sketchy.
well. That gives you the freedom to just fill up into it if you
Yeah.
get there.
I want him to be more peeled than he's ever been at 3 weeks out.
Yeah, that's ideal.
He will. I
and
know
then
that he will.
show. Show
Yeah.
is Universe. I also plan on going to Universe to weigh in on Wednesday and then driving back to Pivot. Um, just to like have my last night of sleep at home, but that way I could weigh in and pretty much just pick you up from the airport on Thursday morning and call it a day.
Hell yeah. We're coming in. It's a business trip.
I like
All
the
right.
I like you guys set up there. So that's like I bet you feel quite good with that, and you're definitely gonna be breezing off some fat, So
Yeah.
I felt the first couple days when like, or the first like week or so when I started to feel esters kind of clearing, I had some very weirdly crazy look because a lot of water dropped off. And that's when I sent you the picture, Austin, where I was like TRT or trend because
yeah,
it was like all the water dropped off and I just was
Man, you have
crazy
that look to
vascular
your
for a day.
skin and your muscle. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, you look grainy as hell, dude.
You were
So,
right.
but
He is, and especially like when the time comes and the work has been done, he has that Caucasian dry look while also being like a tall, round black dude. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you look crazy, man. I
It's
can't
gonna
wait.
be sick.
Excited to see you
thank
guys
you, thank
nailing.
you.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm stoked for it.
Just got to get
Um,
Austin to come.
I'll be there as your peak caddy with snacks on hand and water and
the
salt.
gopher. Yeah, yeah.
Joe will be like, rice cake, and I'll be like, I got it, bro.
Okay, here's one. Common things that lifters or bodybuilders do, thinking that it's hardcore, but it may actually hinder progress.
Like when they're like on a movement, they like smack the piss out of themselves right before and do like a whole ritual. I feel like that's taken
OD.
away
Yeah.
from it. I think
Okay.
I think like unnecessary intense like things people are categorizing as intense like that. It's just like skewing gym accuracy like greatly. I see that a lot.
I heard Gabe Rocha talk about this one time. I was he had offered
Gabe
like
says hi.
a free like mental performance seminar or something. So I tuned into it, and he had talked about his best and most like best combination training wise in terms of focus and clarity and intensity is when he's at like a 7 out of 10 as opposed to being at a 10 or 11.
I would say that too. Yeah.
Ever since he said that, I'm like, wow, that is such an insightful way to think about it because
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like the times that I have been at 10, I either do something completely insane or a lot of times that's when I've gotten hurt.
Yeah, that's what you see these guys like attacking stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
they need to just focus more. And I think that is a correlation of kind of where they are on that scale from a
Yep.
full-blown intensity standpoint. That's a great way to put it, man.
On that same point, I think beyond like on that same point, like being just insane, almost like for a random set, I think is a short-sighted, impatient way to kind of sabotage what you're trying to do. Because really, I think about training for the off season as how long can you sustainably stack progressions, not just today, but week after week after week. Like if I go bananas and add a plate to each side and maybe add 2 reps to my performance because I've fucking sniffed salts and all this other crazy shit, right? Like, okay, that might be cool right now, but am I going to do that for the next 4 or 6 or 8 weeks in a row? No. And so it's like, it's kind of superficial. I think the idea should be what can I do to drive progress or new stimulus this week that then the next fucking 6 weeks in a row I could do something very similar, and just because that's where the magic happens, I think, is in the momentum of things. Like it's not, I've said this before, but one of my favorite all-time quotes goes like this: we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not a single act, but a habit. So it's are you excellent week after week? It's not like just showing up and randomly one time you train at a really high level. Like, do you train at a really high level every single week? And can you replicate that? So, yeah, like to that same point that you were making, I just think you could even take it a step further. It's just short sighted.
I think the ability to zoom out, period, as a bodybuilder is one of the most crucial things about maturing as an athlete.
Yeah.
And not, like you can talk about that in the prep sense. You can talk about that in a training sense. You can talk
Mm.
about it everything. If you just it helps slow, like a lot of guys get really like they're thinking like about the next day, or like very short sighted all the time. It gives them anxiety and things. If you just zoom out and see that like you just need to check the boxes day after day and take it for what it is, I think that helps like that pressure a lot with
Yeah.
you, especially like guys still maturing in the sport. So doing that with your training, I mean, that's a different way to look at that, but doing it with your training is the same thing. You got to
What
be
do you
able to.
got, Josh? Anything?
You actually stole mine. I was going to say smelling salts.
Okay.
Like smelling salts specifically for like a 10 plus rep set. Like, it, first off, it's going to hit you for the first 2 reps, and then after that, it's done. Um, or you're going to feel like you have a nosebleed halfway through the set. That was like my first thing. And then second would be now, after, us training together and like thinking on it a little bit more, but just like doing more intensifiers or like just kind of randomly throwing shit in or adding sets just for the fuck of it. Um, I still want to kill myself in the training session, but like kill yourself in a set period. Like set a max and how much can you actually accomplish during that time. Um, I think that's huge because yeah, my knees are fucking killing me today, which is beautiful.
I'm glad that I had hoped that that you had taken something close to that from our time training together. Austin, I think you might have said this last week or recently where you talked about basically being a sniper. It's like, how much
Yeah,
damage can you do with one shot?
That's it.
It's not a matter of letting it all rip and blowing all your ammo. Like one shot, are you hitting this on the head or not? And when you do that, I think, especially for you, you are such a specific case where it's like the legs are kind of going to be the make or break part of your physique if you want to compete at a very high / professional level. Your legs are make or break for you. And so how do we drive progressions? It's with training. And for you to have long-term success with training, you need to be healthy. Your knees need to be healthy. And so all of that put together, like, yeah, less needs to be more. We talked about it last week. Less needs to be more, especially for you, especially for your legs. Now, if you want to train how you've always trained for your back, you have never heard me give you any type of shit for your back training or your chest training or your arm training. I've specifically honed in on your leg training and how you go about it and what you're thinking about. So, yeah, I think all that makes sense. The one thing that I thought of outside of the gym for this, like what do bodybuilders do that they think is hardcore, but it might actually hold them back progress wise, is um, with their meals, like eating boiled chicken and rice 5 out of 6 meals a day, or never using seasonings, never using salt, never even using like a thoughtful measured amount of low sugar or no sugar condiments. Like I was there, I was that person that did that because I thought I was hardcore. You're just going to grow to hate your food. And as a bodybuilder, you are a full-time professional eater. That's what you are. Other than 2 hours a day and 6 to 8 hours when you're asleep, you're the name of the game is eating your food. And if you don't find ways to make it enjoyable and sustainable, it's going to hold you back. And so I think that's one of the biggest ones that I see. And it's a lot of times it's young guys. And that's when I went through it too. When I was young and eager and excited, I'm like, man, I am going to outwork all these motherfuckers. I'm not even using X, Y, and Z on my food. And then it's like, man, you get 5 years into it, and it's like, man, I see guys whooping my ass that all off season he was putting chocolate syrup on his food. Like this shit doesn't even really matter. So um,
Great point, man.
that would be
I
one
actually
for
got one
me.
more.
Go ahead, Josh.
One more would be like if I think it depends on the type of person you are, but if you're a social butterfly trying to like lock yourself into a routine where you don't see anybody, I mean, I figure the three of us seem to all be kind of similar. Like I'm extremely antisocial. My social battery runs out very quickly. I don't
Yeah.
want to be around a lot of people. But like I'll give my time to the people who I truly care about. But if you turn around and you try and put me in a social situation all the time, it's not going to work. If you put somebody who thrives on being social in a box and don't let them do anything, they're not going to make the progress because they're just going to stress themselves the fuck out.
It's a
So
great point.
I
And you
think that's
can
a big
make
one.
bodybuilding work in either situation. You can make bodybuilding fit in either. You can go out and be social and just bring your food. How good of a time you have is often determined by the company and the quality of the company that you keep. It's not the food that you're putting in your mouth.
I'm sure.
All right, what do you guys got? Let's throw it back to you guys.
I have one about hard gainers.
Go
So
ahead. Let's
do
do
you
it.
truly believe hard gainers are a real thing?
I do to some extent. Um I think what that really means is that it's probably someone that isn't super consistent with their food, or even in the case of, let's say this is someone that's nailing all the variables and they're consistent and they really live it. I still think that there are people that it's just going to be a slower process for them. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but man, it took me every bit of 10 years to even look like I lifted weights. There's times I still don't even feel like I look like somebody that lifts weights. So it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
But other than outside, I mean, I hear people that there are flat out like non-responders to training as a very like small, percentage, like outlier type thing. Non-responders to training, non-responders to exogenous growth hormone, like stuff like that. Man, if you are like one of these total oddball anomalies, then pick up bowling, pick up golf.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you hear this, is like talking about people who are having that hard time moving the needle on the scale, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, like, of course, there are people with like higher metabolic capacities, like naturally, than other people. Like everyone's is different, even people of the same height and weight. Genetics and lifestyle and all of these things play a role, but you know, the laws of science is science. Like the laws of thermodynamics, there is a calorie amount that will make you gain weight.
Yep.
So it's just about, yes, it might be tougher for you, but like you have to figure out what that is and then do it for a long time. And like, yeah, I mean, I've a lot of guys come to me saying, using that verbiage, and it's like we move the needle pretty easy. It's like once we get to doing something consistently, and a lot of you hear like those guys, and they're like, well, I eat Taco Bell like every night a week or whatever, but it's like that's the only thing they had all day, and I had like 3,200 calories, and like that's maybe their maintenance calories. It's like,
Might be less.
yeah, now it's like, okay, eat 5 meals that are 800 to 1,000 calories a piece, and do that for like a month straight. Let's see what happens.
I had
Most
a
of those
hard
guys
no on
have
this answer.
most of those guys have no idea what they're eating.
That's
I
right.
so often oh man, 8 out of 10 times that someone has used this specific term to me, it's a younger guy, it's a smaller guy, they're just early in the process and they say, "Hey, what should I do? I'm this." And then it's like, "Well, what are you eating?" "Dude, I'm eating so much." That's not what I asked. "What are you eating?" And they can't, like, if you can't rattle off meals 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, this is the standard that I live by. then it's just the food. It's just a matter of the food, being consistent with the food.
Yeah. Period. I got a question about
Wait, hold on. Josh had a point.
yeah, what's up?
I had a hard no on this because I just attribute it to the fact of like, if you take that same person who's a hard gainer and you bring them to their favorite restaurant and you
Right.
say, order whatever you want off the menu with no holds barred, they're going to eat. So to say that you're a hard gainer and like you struggle with eating enough food, it's more so a desire thing, in my opinion. Um, and there's so many like we still have people doing the whole chicken shake shit. Like there are ways to get your food down that you can find a way. And also, like you mentioned, the consistency thing. I think it's a mix of you don't want to do it and you're not consistent enough when you do want to do it continuously. Because I promise you, there were times where I definitely never told him this, so hopefully he doesn't see this. But like I was working with Justin Randall. It was when I was first opening Ultimate, and I was closing the gym. And let's say food went bad. On the way home, I was stopping at Popeyes and getting 2 chicken sandwiches because I knew that I had that amount of calories to finish, and I was trying to gain weight. And I'd do it, even though I wasn't really hungry for it. But it was like, hey, get the job done. You can find a way at any given point. It might not be the best way, but if you're a hard gainer, you're already eating so many calories, you're pretty much not going to get fat.
Yeah, a
So
lot of times
that's how
those
I look
guys
at it.
like okay, like in theory, that just means that this is a guy that has a pretty naturally lean disposition. Like it should be a pretty easy job to start just sticking some food in you and getting it to move up. Like you almost don't have to worry about how much because you're gonna stay fairly lean to begin with. All right,
Exactly.
what were you gonna say, Austin? You had a question?
Yeah, and one about isolating the chest better on pressing movements. He said he always feels a bit of his front delts working. So just tips you have on that.
Um, I would maybe film yourself and get feedback from a guy that knows what he's doing, whether it's one of us on the internet, somebody that's likely to answer you, or if you have somebody at the gym that knows what they're doing or whatever. I'll just give 1 point and then anyone else can go. But I would say check the disposition of your rib cage and the angle at which your upper arm is moving relative to your rib cage.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like a super easy rule is like, is your shoulder joint behind like your back?
Yeah.
Say, keep your scapula should have retraction and also some depression down to protect and pocket the shoulder joint. And that should isolate the pec. And then something else I like to cue with people is like chest up, eyes up. So, or chest up, and then usually where the eyes go, the chest follows. So, like,
Yeah.
a plate loaded type of machine, I'm going to have an upward gaze to like keep my chest up. And I'm thinking about shoulders back and down and then letting it rip from there.
Yeah.
I got one real quick, but I got to run out. In the most layman terms of possible, flex the shit out of your chest as often as you can. Once you build that connection to it, you'll be able to press more. Think about driving your bicep into the side of your chest. And my last thing would be if you're someone who smokes weed, get really high beforehand and then just do a lot of chest flies. You will learn to feel your pecs and then go on to a press movement, not heavy, but just focus on thinking about like scooping your chest under the weight.
I
Um,
like that.
that's personally how I learned was I would think about scooping my chest under and bringing my rib cage kind of up and allowed me to flex my chest much better.
Besides the weed part, I love the verbiage there. I have used that myself, like scooping under the pecs. Um, yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I think we talked about it on the podcast last week. But if you are one of these people, you're a great candidate to do a bunch of isolation work first and
Yeah.
feel your pecs. Make it so that your pecs are crazy, crazy pumped before you go starting your presses.
Yeah, I think that's a good technique. We covered some good cues. Josh kind of covered it in a different way, so give that a shot. I like what he talked.
Elbow path is another one. Like if you don't want to be too flared, right? Like you don't want to be like say there's a straight line down my torso. You don't want to be 90 degrees out from that. you'd almost want to be more 45.
I kind of imagine like I'm trying to like hold a basketball to my side when I'm pressing.
Yes.
Like I'm trying to get
Oh,
all,
that's really good.
yeah, like all that tension out, just like a deadlift or something. You want
Yeah,
should be zero movement if you're pressing against that without pressing it. Everything should be very stable.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's really good.
he made a good point about the bicep cue. Like a lot of guys
Yeah.
will stop moving their hand when pressing from
Yes. Yeah.
heat, and now my shoulder is protracted because I'm
Yeah.
reaching or clenching
Guys
it.
do it even with like a pec deck. Guys think that they're doing the right thing by doing this.
Where our hands end up, it means nothing for training
Means
chest.
nothing. Yeah.
Really, just the humerus. So when you do a fly or something, really your arms, once your chest, if you're in the right position, your hands shouldn't even be able to touch. If I'm thinking about my biceps driving into my pecs, so this is kind of my in range of motion right here.
Right.
Same for a press, like with them guys will dumbbell press and then clank them together. I just shifted the load it from the end of the active range of motion on my back and then my dunks. So
Especially with something like a dumbbell, I feel like, or if you intend, if you have like a machine, like I think of like the flex leverage presses that converge, right? A proper rep is almost going to look like you didn't complete the top half of the rep.
yeah, but did your humerus straighten out?
Right. Right.
You know.
I got one here. This guy writes in and says, is a super high protein diet in the off season really doing anything more than say 1 gram per body weight? Or is it really because it is the easiest macro to manipulate? With protein super high, you are topped off on protein synthesis.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that it's the easiest macro to manipulate, but I think some insurance policy here it makes sense is kind of what he's saying.
Yeah.
So long as you're able to eat and you're not having problems with too much satiety and
Right.
your stomach's not a wreck all the time, and those two things usually go hand in hand. If that is occurring and you're pushing protein a little higher, back it down an ounce a meal or something like that, and see.
Man, so I understand like there are studies that say otherwise. Um, I love my bro science, man. I can't get away from it. I have just seen time and time again, especially no disrespect. I only see like a tiny little picture of who writes the question. So I can't tell if this is like a lifestyle guy, might even be a natural guy. A lot of the times I'm answering questions from the experience of my own experience, which is of an enhanced bodybuilder. Most of the guys that I help are enhanced. So with that in mind, time and time again, we see that high protein, at least much higher than what the natural studies indicate, like 1 gram of pound or 1 gram of protein per pound. Going beyond that is only going to be beneficial. Like we have none of these like studies on enhanced competitive bodybuilders that live the lifestyle year round, train like animals, take all of these pharmaceuticals to enhance recovery and protein synthesis and all of these things. Like that study just doesn't exist. And so, based on what we have seen in real life, I think that you would be a fool to dismiss the fact that the biggest people that have ever walked planet Earth, the leanest, most muscular people that we have ever seen, almost all as a recurring theme ate very high protein. I think that would be very, very foolish to just completely dismiss. Besides all that, if we are talking like clinical data, the only thing that I have that I can use as a response to this is that there is, I don't know if it's one study or multiple studies, but they calorie equated several groups and then they pushed them all into a calorie surplus with an excess of each individual macro. So there was a group that was pushed into a surplus because of carbs, a group that was pushed to a surplus because of excess fats, and then a group that was pushed into a surplus because of excess protein. At the end of the study, the group that was pushed into a surplus with an excess of protein held the best body composition relative to where they started. So that to me tells me something. And that's that's information on normies. Like, put a gram of test and GH in, and then what are we talking about? So, man, to me, I don't know. I probably sound like a broken record, but I think bro science on something like this is king.
It's hard to
I
disagree
got
with.
it. I lost.
I just said it's hard to disagree with.
In really simple terms, I heard the question. I was just dealing with somebody kidding. Um, in the simplest of terms, there is something inherently masculine about lifting weights, which whether you're a female or a male listening to this, you are in the gym training. There's also something inherently masculine about eating another animal's flesh. So
Another animal's
eat
muscle.
more. Yeah, eat more of that.
Another animal's muscle tissue. Like, there's something to that for sure.
So that's just my opinion, is like I would prefer to always eat more protein simply for that fact. Um, is that I get to scratch that masculine itch. Like there's nothing better than a big ass T-bone steak. Or
a
like
big ass
gnawing on the
ribeye
bone
steak.
afterwards. To each their own. Uh, but like to gnaw at the bone afterwards is one of those things that it's like, yo, you feel like your testosterone just got higher.
I'll tell you this, my
From it.
dad would agree with you. My dad's got a T-bone as his first overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had a steak in a minute, so I'd probably be happy with any of those. But
No, I'm with
yeah,
you. I liked your the way that you said it too, Austin, is like it's an insurance policy because of that study that I referenced, knowing that the worst thing that could happen if I eat too much protein is that like it just maybe makes my composition a little bit better. It maybe just makes me a little bit more muscular. Like, that's the worst thing that's going to happen. Okay, I'd rather eat too much than not enough, certainly. The last thing I'd ever want to do is leave gains or progress on the table. So to me, like 1 gram of protein per pound is just way, way too low if this is the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like, if the pursuit of mass is the goal, 100%. We hear guys now that have all the size that they need. They're a little bit older and they've been doing bodybuilding for 15 or 20 years. Maybe because of that, their GI tract is not the best. The look and distension of their stomach on a competitive bodybuilding stage is a concern. All of these things lead to, you hear some guys say, maybe they only do 220 grams or 240 grams of protein per day. I am not referencing that at all. I am talking about mass chasers. I'm talking about guys that are looking to put on size. If that is you, I feel like you need to be eating tons of protein.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we at? How long? What time? How long have we been on?
A little
So
over.
far? A
like an hour.
little over an hour. Okay, maybe one more.
Any good ones? I
Yeah,
had
this is. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I will save this one because it is like a longer, like more case study question. So I will hit it on the next one.
All right, I got one then, and it's pertinent because, like we talked about, you and I, although the totals are different, we're basically on the same cycle in terms of the compounds. So this guy writes in and says, if adding in NPP or DECA to an already ideal ratio of test to EQ, do you typically need to increase the EQ alongside the new addition of nandrolone to manage side effects?
when he says side effects here, do you think he's specifically speaking about estrogen?
That's the way that I took it because it doesn't necessarily matter how that test EQ ratio looks if nandrolone is going to make you off the walls anxious.
Right. Right.
So let's just assume that he's talking about E2. And I get it's maybe I thought this was like a thoughtfully worded interesting question because it's a good consideration. It's one that it's a consideration I make for myself when I make my cycle changes in a cycle like this.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it kind of depends on like how aggressive you're going to be out the gate with it. If it's a lower amount, you're probably okay. Um, but you could always take a look at labs again. I don't think I would be proactive necessarily, unless maybe a lot of different examples here. Was E2 like riding high at this perfect example for you, and like it was kind of teetering that way, or the other way? If the other, if it flowed, then probably nothing at all. Definitely, and then maybe high. There's more consideration there, but I think I would allow lab work to kind of like give me that feedback before I made a move on it, or based it on the symptoms. But
Even just real life response, even before the lab work comes back, like
just the symptoms and how you're feeling and how that's guiding you. But you should be okay, assuming you're probably bringing this in at like I don't know, a couple hundred, two, three, 400, maybe max.
in my mind, it's like anywhere from a third to a half of what your test is, right? So it's like, I don't know, as an because he didn't give numbers, but and he also used like this very subjective, like ideal test to EQ ratio. That's going to be different for everyone,
And very different at that. So
very different. But it is like predominant. Like in my mind, I read this and it was just like, well, where is E2 now?
yeah,
Like if E2 is 40 right now, you could probably bring in some nandrolone and just leave the rest. If you're on a gamma test, you're on 500 EQ, and this lands you at 40 for your E2. If you're going to bring in a gram of nandrolone, like something else is probably going to need to change to help you manage this. If you're bringing in 250 mgs of nandrolone, I would leave it and let real life tell you what to do.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's never a bad idea if it's something you haven't done much of to like get some labs mid blast and like look at
For
the E
sure.
and look at, add prolactin onto there and just see.
Add the prolactin and then also and I encourage people to do this whether you feel good, whether you feel like shit, whatever, because the E2 is so individual. Like I like data. I like reference points. So it's like you feel amazing right now. Libido and recovery and training and everything is through the roof. Let's go get labs. What does this correlate with? Does this mean your E2 is 40? Does this mean it's 80? Does this mean it's 15? Like, let's go see. And then on the flip side, if you feel like shit, let's go see what that number is and what change, like that will tell us what change needs to make. If you feel like shit and it's 80, it's got to come down. If you feel like shit and it's 6, it's got to come up, right? Like, yeah, I think honestly, just a big piece of this is the labs. And guys, so many of these companies now, I could name 100 of them. None of them are paying me to list them off, so I'm not going to bother. Any lab work company, you can buy a single sensitive E2 test. Maybe, like you said, add the prolactin as well. But like you don't, the days of needing to spend $400 on a full lab panel just to get a couple little answers are long behind us. So this is not beyond, if you presumably have the budget to eat like a bodybuilder, go to a gym or two, run gear, run GH, have a coach, all this other stuff, man, that means that you probably have the budget to run a couple tests every few weeks.
Yeah. Yep. And it's not just a one-time cost, right? You're gathering data to like take into decades of the sport that you
Yes.
organize with things. So,
Yes.
it's always good to have that analytical data to combine with the biofeedback, right? So,
Yes. Yeah. Like I feel like this, what does it correlate with? on the report. Like, how can I reference this in the future moving forward? So
And guys, like if you find a cycle design that works really well for you, you can use it your entire career and just
fucking run it into the ground, dude.
be progressive with it. You don't have
Yeah.
to be exotic and experimental every time. If it worked killer for a 6 months growth phase, replicate your exact setup. Do what you did for the 2 months before that phase and send it again with the same setup, but just maybe more, right?
We got asked, I guess it was either this one or the other one that I am doing now with Ty and Luke. Might have been this one. We got asked about like test no ester, right?
Yeah, that was us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, so many guys messaged me because I guess maybe I'd mentioned I haven't used it or I won't use it. So many guys messaged me and like giving me some type of advice on how to use it. And it's like, all right, dude. I love when guys watch the podcast and then reference something that we talked about in a message. Like I spend all day on my phone, dude. I will shoot the shit with you. I will answer questions. I will help you with anything that you have. But then they're like, well, why wouldn't you use this? And it's like, guys, I don't have that many off seasons left of doing this.
Right.
So the idea of throwing something in that's like totally foreign to me and then potentially having to spend valuable time of my off season fixing a bottleneck that arose is just not worth it. Like, or not worth it. I know that this cycle is fucking killer for me right now, and I feel insane, and I'm making crazy progress for me. So it's like, well, then why bother? I wish I would have figured this cycle out fucking 10 years ago.
That's what I mean. Like if you've got a well-developed toolbox that's working really well, it's like you don't really need to go shopping around.
That's it. That's it. All right, guys. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. If you guys made it to the end of the show, leave us a comment. Let us know you're part of the last 5 minute crew, as all the shows like to say. Uh, Regardless, leave us a comment, share it around, send it to a friend. The number one thing that gets me charged up is when I see people like tag us in a video of them watching it, whether it's they're eating a meal and they tag us on their iPad. It's always a trip to me when I see somebody's just chilling on the couch on their home TV watching us. I'm like, damn, this is really, really something. So yeah, tag us, let us know that you watched the show. And until next time, guys, we are out.